The Monkees were created to bring smiles to audiences, with talented musicians, endless antics, and a feeling that nothing could go wrong. But time revealed a darker side. As the years passed, one by one, the members quietly disappeared, leaving fans stunned by their sudden departure. Join us as we uncover the truth behind what happened and celebrate the legacy they left behind. Michael Nesmith as Mike, the serious, beanie-wearing guitarist in the band The Monkees, is played by Michael Nesmith. At 23, his character exudes a calm, restrained intelligence, a counterpoint to the chaos of pop music. Beyond the camera lens, that restraint masked a simmering anger at being typecast into a persona he never wanted to be. Born on December 30, 1942, in Houston, Texas, Robert Michael Nesmith was raised by a single mother after his parents divorced when he was 4. His childhood was shaped by instability and deprivation, frequent moves, little money, and long periods of emotional solitude. Although his mother later became wealthy thanks to the invention of electronic correction fluid, that success came after his formative years. Trauma from childhood deprivation shaped his distrust of systems and authority. Within the Monkees, Nesmith openly defied established image, once punching a hole through a hotel wall during a contract dispute, an act symbolizing his refusal to be controlled. After leaving the group, he demonstrated that rebellious spirit through practical action. He won a Grammy for the song Elephant Parts in 1981, pioneered the music video genre, and left a lasting mark through projects like Repo Man. However, his personal life came at a price. His 3 marriages ended in divorce due to estrangement and a lack of affection. His relationship with his children was complicated, filled with guilt and anxiety, including the fact that one son had struggled with long-term addiction. Health problems appeared late but were very serious. Severe heart disease led to a 4-vessel coronary artery bypass graft surgery in 2018, a warning sign his body had been giving him for years. On December 10, 2021, Michael Nesmith died at his California home from heart failure, less than a month after his final performance. He was 78 years old and surrounded by family. The final battle is over. His estimated net worth of $50 million reflects not only royalties from the Monkees, but also the shrewd business decisions that have reshaped the music industry. Davy Jones as Davy, the romantic heartthrob of the Monkees, played by Davy Jones. At age 20, he took on this role in 1965 and stayed with it throughout the series' initial broadcast. The character was portrayed as gentle, optimistic, and incredibly approachable, and audiences immediately embraced it. Within months, that kind image had blended seamlessly with his real life. Born on December 30, 1945, in Manchester, England, David Thomas Jones grew up in a cramped, working-class family with 4 siblings. Poverty was a constant presence, but the tragedy came early. His mother died of lung disease when he was only 14 years old. Davy's father suffered from depression, so he learned independence out of necessity, not choice. He dropped out of school early, finding work whenever he could, starting as an assistant to a horse racer. It was this ambition that led him to the stage. And Oliver changed everything. His sly portrayal of Dodger earned him a Tony Award nomination, proving his talent before television discovered him. The band has sold over 75 million records worldwide, but at the cost of their own fame. Jones became a teen idol, his ambitions narrowing down to just a smile and a love song. Even later projects, his 1971 solo album Davy Jones and his iconic appearance in the Brady Bunch kept him famous but creatively constrained him. Behind the scenes, his personal life crumbled under the pressure. Their 3 marriages followed the same pattern. Intensity, distance, and exhaustion. A grueling touring schedule robbed them of family time. Fame exaggerated every misstep, and loneliness grew with age. On February 29, 2012, after caring for horses in Florida, Davy Jones collapsed from a heart attack. He was found shortly after 8 Emma, and could not be saved. He died at the age of 66. The cause of death believed to be heart disease and years of accumulated stress. His ashes were brought back to England and placed near his parents' graves. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $5 million, largely derived from the long-standing royalties of the Monkees. Proof that the boy who escaped poverty through music never truly escaped the price of fame. Peter Tork, in the role of Peter, the innocent, gentle boy in the Monkees, is vividly portrayed through his own performance. In 1965, at the age of 23, he entered the series playing the most innocent character. What the public perceived as sweetness and simplicity quickly became a label he could never quite shake off. Born on February 13, 1942, in Washington, D.C., with the birth name Peter Halston Thorkelson, he grew up in an intellectual family influenced by frequent moves. His father's work took the family from Detroit to Germany, then Wisconsin, before finally settling in Connecticut. Although music was encouraged, the pressure of intellectual expectations left him feeling isolated from an early age. At 9, he began piano lessons, but the restrictive environment instilled in him a quiet loneliness that never truly disappeared. When the Monkees rose to fame, selling over 75 million records worldwide, Tork realized he was famous but felt lost. After the band broke up, the decline came quickly and irreversibly. Poor financial decisions, addiction, and depression robbed him of stability, pushing him to the brink of homelessness in the 1980s. Projects like Stranger Things Have Happened, 1994, and The Blues. Band Shoe Suede Blues offered artistic solace but never restored the fame that had been taken from him. His personal life reflected similar cracks. 4 marriages broke down under the weight of alcoholism, drug addiction, and emotional estrangement. His relationship with his children became distant, and guilt continued to haunt him. Behind the smile that fans still remember is a man burdened by self-doubt and a feeling of failure in the very life that fame promised. In 2009, Peter Tork was diagnosed with adenocarcinoma, a rare type of cancer that relapsed aggressively in 2018. He passed away peacefully on February 21, 2019, at the age of 77. After a decade of tenacious and exhausting battle, he was buried privately, his estimated net worth of $2 million diminished by medical expenses. Henry Corden is Mr. Babbitt. Mr. Babbitt, the sharp-witted landlord who constantly disrupts the Monkees' fun, was portrayed by Henry Corden. When the series began in 1965, he was 45 years old, bringing decades of struggle into a role built on authority and annoyance. That presence, brief but sharp, reflected a career he had pursued long before the show began. Born on January 6, 1920, in Montreal, his birth name was Henry Cohen. He grew up in a Jewish immigrant family that later moved to New York. His parents worked tirelessly, leaving little time for comfort or stability. Entering the entertainment industry meant facing prejudice from an early age, and self-transformation became a quiet necessity rather than a choice. That compromise shaped a career defined by perseverance rather than privilege. Corden became a familiar face, and later, a familiar voice, often cast in stern and villainous roles. His most enduring contribution came when he took over the voice of Fred Flintstone after Alan Reed's death in 1977, solidifying his place in animation history. Films like The Ten Commandments, 1956, helped elevate his career, but prestigious awards never came. In real life, stability consistently eluded him. 4 marriages, each tumultuous in its own way, all ended in emotional exhaustion or loss. Long working hours and financial pressures eroded family bonds, creating distance where there was once closeness. Over time, isolation crept in, even as his voice remained deeply ingrained in popular culture. Suffering from emphysema, Henry Corden's health steadily declined. On May 19, 2005, he died at the age of 85 at a hospital in Sherman Oaks, with his wife by his side. He was buried at San Fernando Mission Cemetery, remembered more for his voice than his face. His estimated net worth of $2 million closed the story of a man whose works resonated through generations, even as his name quietly faded. Bert Mustin as Butler. Butler, a frail man constantly observing his Monkees, was played by Bert Mustin. When the show began in 1965, he was around 83 years old, quietly becoming one of the oldest actors still active on television. Each appearance was as if he were living borrowed moments. Born on February 8, 1884, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with the birth name Burton Hill Mustin. His early life was quite ordinary and practical. He trained as a civil engineer, worked in sales, and lived a full professional life long before Hollywood took notice of him. His acting career came relatively late, surprisingly late, only after his retirement, when financial pressures forced him to change careers instead of pursuing his passion. His acting career began at age 67, an age when most careers end. Since then, he has worked tirelessly, appearing in over 350 television episodes, becoming a familiar face in American households in their old age. His roles in Leave It to Beaver, such as firefighter Gus, and in The Andy Griffith Show have cemented his image in popular culture, while the band The Monkees added a quiet but significant mark to a career built on his enduring legacy. In real life, his life was more stable than most people's. He married once in 1915 and lived with his wife for 54 years until her death in 1969. When she died, the grief left him feeling empty. Ultimately, Bert Mustin died of natural causes on January 28, 1977, at the age of 92 at a California hospital. His estimated net worth of $1 million reflected a lifetime of hard work, not a windfall. A final reminder that Hollywood often remembers faces long after the lives behind them have been forgotten. Rip Taylor, in the role of Glick Glick, an unpredictable character who infiltrates the Monkees like a controlled chaos, was played by Rip Taylor himself. In 1965, at around age 36, he joined the series with the restless energy of a man who had learned to survive by speaking louder than his pain. What might seem humorous at first glance is, in fact, a protective shield, and it's very heavy. Born on January 13, 1931, in Washington, D.C., with the real name Charles Elmer Taylor Jr., his childhood was filled with loss and fear. His father, a musician, died when he was only 2 years old. His mother was a nurse, and his father never came home. Living in an orphanage subjected him to abuse. Humor became his shield because laughter was the only way for him to stay grounded. On stage, he exploded. Confetti flew everywhere. That mustache became legendary. He was crowned King of Glitter, enthusiastically gracing shows like Hollywood Squares and The Gong Show, sometimes appearing thousands of times on television and in nightclubs. Behind the glitz and glamour, the pressure to maintain his fame never ceased, and the silence became terrifying. His personal life remained fraught with difficulties. His short-lived marriage to Rusty Rowe ended prematurely, leaving him childless and without a stable home. He had a long-lasting and loving relationship with Robert Fortney, but the Times forced him to keep it a secret. The constant hiding had exhausted him. Rip Taylor died on October 6, 2019, at the age of 88, after suffering congestive heart failure, a consequence of seizures that weakened him in his final days. His ashes were scattered at sea in Hawaii. An estimated net worth of around $3 million remains after decades of bringing laughter. But the man hidden beneath the glittery paper has quietly passed away, finally finding rest without having to act anymore. Ted Corsia as Blackbeard. Blackbeard, the terrifying character who appears fleetingly but is unmistakable among the apes, was portrayed by Ted Corsia. In 1965, at the age of 62, he joined the franchise carrying the burden of a lifetime dedicated to playing dangerous roles. His presence brought a sense of antiquity that surpassed even the program itself. Born on September 29, 1903, in Brooklyn, New York, Edward Gildia de Corsia grew up amidst the hustle and bustle of the city. He first found his voice on radio, building a career solely on his voice, before a difficult transition to film forced him to compete once again. He was famous for his cold, brutal roles in films like The Woman from Shanghai and Assassination, faces that terrified audiences but were rarely remembered by name. He worked tirelessly, yet remained on the fringes of society, building a career shaped more by stress than triumph. His private life crumbled quietly. His 2 marriages ended in divorce, and he had a daughter. But family stability gradually crumbled as work consumed his time. The roles demanded toughness, and over time, that toughness followed him home. Ted Corsia died on April 11, 1973, at the age of 69, from a cerebral thrombosis, collapsing in a place unfamiliar to the villains he had once portrayed. His estimated net worth of $200,000 reflects decades of unpaid labor. He was buried quietly. Rose Marie as Millie Rudnick. Millie Rudnick, the sharp-witted woman who always stirs up chaos within the Monkees, is portrayed by Rose Marie. In 1965, at around age 43, she joined the series with decades of acting experience deeply ingrained in her voice. Her presence was more like that of a guest than a reminder that the entertainment industry has a very long memory. Born on August 15, 1923, in New York City, her real name was Rose Marie Mazzetta, and she grew up in a vaudeville environment rather than in a family. She performed at the age of 3, sang on national radio by the age of 5 under the stage name Baby Rose Marie, and her childhood quietly passed by. Her parents pushed her relentlessly, turning talent into survival and applause into obligation. While other children played, she worked, traveled, trained, and soon realized that love often came with conditions. Success came to her, but she lacked rest. Her career spanned 9 decades, cemented by her unforgettable portrayal of Sally Rogers on The Dick Van Dyke Show, a role that earned her 3 Emmy nominations and rare respect for women of her time. The Monkees were just one stop on a long journey that included roles in popular Hollywood television shows and later voice acting for shows like The Garfield Show. Her private life gradually faded into silence. She married only once, to musician Bobby Guy, and when he died suddenly in 1964, the loss devastated her. She never remarried. Afterward, she fell into depression, compounded by the death of her daughter, a wound she never publicly healed. Insomnia and anxiety became her constant companions, and work became her only escape from the stillness. Rose Marie passed away peacefully at home on December 28, 2017, at the age of 94, after lying down to rest and never waking again. Her estimated net worth of $5 million, built from royalties and a vast entertainment legacy, stands in stark contrast to her immense dedication to others before having the opportunity to choose otherwise. Ron Masak as the Count. The Count, a dignified, calm, and quietly imposing figure within the Monkees, is portrayed by Ron Masak. In 1965, at around age 32, he took on the role with a simple, restrained style while others gravitated towards chaos. It was a kind of performance that rarely drew attention but left a lasting impression. Born on July 1, 1936, in Chicago, Illinois, Masak grew up in a working-class family near Comiskey Park, living more in a routine environment than in a world of dreams. Life went on with discipline, studies, military service, and responsibilities before ambition had room to develop. Acting came later, not as a rebellion, but as a decision forged from patience. His career progressed steadily. The Monkees introduced him to television, but it wasn't until years later that he gained widespread recognition for his role as Sheriff Mort Metzger in Murder, She Wrote, a role that brought warmth, authority, and gentle humor to the character. His appearances in The Twilight Zone and hundreds of commercials earned him the nickname King of Commercials, a title built on persistence rather than flashiness. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Masak's private life has been remarkably stable. He married Kay Nabbies in 1961, and together they raised 6 children, building a family that lasted for over 6 decades. Although his career started late and demanded relentless work, his family was always a strong support system, helping him relieve the pressure on film sets and studios. Ron Masak died of natural causes on October 20, 2022, at the age of 86, just days after the death of his longtime co-star, Angela Lansbury. His estimated net worth of $1 million, derived from television, film, and advertising, reflects a life of stable dedication rather than extravagance. George Furth as Ronnie Farnsworth. Ronnie Farnsworth, a shy, awkward, and quiet character in The Monkees, is portrayed by George Furth. In 1965, at the age of 34, he took on the role with more restraint than ostentation. It was a kind of acting that revealed something deeply unsettling. Born on December 14, 1932, in Chicago, his real name was George Schweinfurth. He grew up in a stable family, received a formal education, and had a disciplined upbringing, but pressure still clung to him from a very young age. He expected success, chose the right path, and proved his ambition was justified. He attended Northwestern and Columbia, but the tug-of-war between acting and writing created a lifelong conflict that was never fully resolved. Despite appearing in countless television roles, his true recognition came from his behind-the-scenes work. His work, Company, earned him a Tony Award, while the light-hearted musical We Roll Along showed just how fragile success can be. Fame never brought him comfort. Writing required solitude, while acting demanded public attention. The conflict fueled anxiety, eventually leading to depression. Deep down, Furth kept his private life secret. He only came out as gay to those he trusted, a fact shaped by an era that scorned honesty. He often joked about avoiding interviews, but behind that humor lay emotional isolation and exhaustion, exacerbated by the difficulties of overcoming addiction. George Furth died on August 11, 2008, at the age of 75 from a lung infection after years of quiet decline. His estimated net worth of $850,000 was the legacy of a brilliant talent who never truly achieved financial stability. He left behind words, characters, and music, but carried within him the loneliness of a man who spent his life trying to explain himself through art rather than life itself.